Scientists discovered something terrifying in Asia. This discovery happened completely by accident. When the first data arrived at the laboratories, specialists initially thought the equipment was malfunctioning. What they saw defied all expectations. Beneath the waters of the Philippine Sea, at a depth of more than 2 kilometers, lurks a monster of incredible proportions. Its diameter spans 150 kilometers. The thickness of the volcanic rocks reaches 14 kilometers. That's almost 1.5 Mount Everests hidden beneath the ocean floor. When a team of marine geophysicists stumbled upon this structure, their first reaction was silence. This isn't just an ancient volcano, this is a massive supervolcano, a phenomenon capable of changing the climate of the entire planet within a few days. And the most terrifying part is that signs indicate this giant might awaken again. What exactly did scientists find on the floor of the Philippine Sea, and why did they keep this discovery secret for several months? Which countries will disappear first if this supervolcano awakens tomorrow? Where on earth could people take shelter from the catastrophe? And why do scientists say that truly safe places from this disaster don't exist? How real is the threat of an awakening? And most importantly, why do experts consider a supervolcano eruption more realistic and dangerous than an asteroid impact? A team of marine geophysicists from the Philippines and New Zealand was studying the ocean floor in the Benham Rise region when they encountered something incredible. Initially, the instruments detected strange anomalies at depths ranging from 2.5 to 5,000 meters. The sensors showed massive accumulations of magmatic and sedimentary rocks forming a gigantic structure. When the researchers began mapping the discovery, the scale of the finding literally stunned them. Before them lay a caldera, the remnant of an ancient supervolcano that they named Apolaki. The thickness of the volcanic rock layer reaches 14 kilometers. This discovery revolutionized scientists' understanding of volcanic activity in the region. Until that moment, scientists considered the Yellowstone caldera the largest on the planet. Its diameter measures only 60 kilometers. Apolaki is more than twice as large. Just imagine if this supervolcano existed on land, its crater would be visible from space with the naked eye. But what makes Apolaki truly terrifying isn't its size, but rather its history. Researchers discovered what they called a resurgent dome. These features point to a multi-phase volcanic history. This means this monster erupted not just once. It experienced quiet lava flows, explosive catastrophic eruptions, periods of collapse, and phases of resurgence when new magma began accumulating beneath the ocean floor again. Now, here's the most frightening part. Scientists are completely reevaluating everything they knew about volcanic activity in this region. Because if a supervolcano of such proportions could exist and erupt where we never even suspected it, it means our understanding of geological processes on the planet was incomplete. Let's talk about scale once more. Apolaki ranks second in size among all known calderas on Earth. First place belongs not to a volcanic structure, but to the Chicxulub crater in Mexico. That's the same one that formed after an asteroid impact 66 million years ago and led to the extinction of the dinosaurs. But among volcanic formations, Apolaki is number 1. However, before we go further, we need to understand one important question. What exactly is a supervolcano, and how does it differ from a regular volcano? Because the difference between them is roughly the same as between a firework and a nuclear bomb. When we think of a volcano, a classic image comes to mind. A cone-shaped mountain with a crater at its summit from which lava and smoke erupt. That's exactly what stratovolcanoes, like Mount Vesuvius, look like, which in 79 AD wiped the city of Pompeii off the face of the earth. Or Krakatoa volcano in Indonesia, whose eruption in 1883 was so powerful that people heard the explosion at a distance of almost 5,000 kilometers. But supervolcanoes are a completely different category of catastrophe. They don't resemble traditional volcanoes at all. Instead of rising above the ground, a supervolcano hides in an enormous sunken crater, a caldera. From the outside, it might look like an ordinary valley. You could walk on the ground above a supervolcano and not even suspect what forces are churning beneath your feet. The most famous example is Yellowstone National Park in the United States. It's one of the most popular tourist destinations in America. Beneath Yellowstone lies a magma chamber of colossal proportions. Recent studies showed that enough molten rock has accumulated there to fill the Grand Canyon approximately 11 times. Think about that number. We're so afraid of asteroids that we track every space rock flying past Earth. We make disaster films about collisions. But supervolcanoes represent an even greater danger, and they're located right here beneath our feet. And now, let's talk about what's really making scientists nervous right now. Over the past few years, something alarming happened in the Philippine region. Seismic activity increased sharply. And these aren't just ordinary tremors that residents of the Pacific Ring of Fire have grown accustomed to. This is a series of powerful earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and underwater anomalies that make you wonder whether something bigger is awakening. We know the Philippines are located in one of the most seismically active zones on the planet. The islands literally sit at the junction of several tectonic plates, the Eurasian, Philippine, and Pacific plates. Earthquakes constantly occur here. People have grown accustomed to the ground, occasionally trembling beneath their feet. But in recent years, the nature of these tremors has changed. December 2023. A series of earthquakes with magnitudes up to 7.6 struck the southern Philippines. Hundreds of casualties, thousands of destroyed homes. But what really alarmed seismologists was the depth and nature of the tremors. The epicenters were located at an unusually great depth, and the seismic waves spread in a pattern that indicated magma movement in the deep layers. January 2024. Mount Mayon volcano on Luzon Island became active. Officials evacuated tens of thousands of people. The ash cloud rose to a height of 3 kilometers. It seemed like an ordinary eruption for the Philippines, but geophysicists detected something strange. Simultaneously with Mayon's activity, underground tremors began in the Philippine Sea, precisely in the area where the Apolaki caldera is located. March 2024. An underwater earthquake with a magnitude of 6.9 shook the waters east of Luzon. The epicenter was located at a depth of about 40 kilometers, practically in the same region where the ancient supervolcano is situated. Fortunately, there was no tsunami, but seismographs throughout the Pacific Ocean recorded unusual low-frequency waves that scientists usually associate with magma movement. And a very recent event came unexpectedly. In 2025, an earthquake with an intensity of 7 occurred in the Philippines, causing significant destruction on Cebu Island. Is this coincidence or pattern? That's the question currently haunting scientists. Some geophysicists are advancing an alarming hypothesis. They say that the recent increase in seismic activity might be connected to the slow awakening of deep magma chambers. Of course, this is still just a hypothesis. There's no direct evidence that Apolaki is awakening, but there are indirect signs that cannot be ignored. An increase in the number of earthquakes in the region, activation of surface volcanoes, underwater tremors in the area of the ancient caldera, water temperature anomalies detected by satellites, changes in the magnetic field in this area. Each of these signs individually can be explained by ordinary geological processes, but when they occur simultaneously in one region over a short period of time, it makes you think. Recently, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology strengthened monitoring of the region. Scientists installed additional seismographs. NASA satellites and the Japanese Space Agency now regularly photograph this section of the Philippine Sea, tracking the slightest changes in water temperature and deformations of the ocean floor. What are they looking for? Signs of activity. If magma is truly rising, it will heat the surrounding rocks and water. Carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and sulfur dioxide will be released. Micro-earthquakes will occur, so weak that people won't feel them, but instruments will detect them. The ocean floor might begin to deform from pressure below. The problem is that even if we detect signs of activation, predicting the exact time of an eruption is incredibly difficult. That's why every earthquake in the Philippines is now being analyzed with special attention, because nobody knows for certain. Is this ordinary geological activity of the region, or the first warning signs of a sleeping giant awakening? And now let's imagine the worst-case scenario. What will happen if Apalaki awakens? This supervolcano is located in the Philippine Sea, which means the first and most powerful blow will fall precisely on the Philippines. But the destruction won't end there. All of Asia and most countries throughout the world will feel the consequences. The first few minutes after the eruption begins will be critical for everyone within a radius of several hundred kilometers. When a supervolcano awakens underwater, a colossal underwater explosion occurs. An enormous volume of magma, superheated steam, and volcanic gases bursts through the water column. The water instantly turns to steam, forming a column several kilometers high. The blast wave spreads in all directions, and at this moment, a tsunami is born. But this won't be an ordinary tsunami. Waves generated by an underwater supervolcano eruption can reach heights of 50 meters. And in some places where the seafloor topography amplifies their power, up to 100 meters. The Philippines will take the first hit. The next wave of destruction will crash down on neighboring countries. Taiwan, located north of the Philippines, will receive waves 30 to 40 meters high. The southern and eastern coasts of the island will be flooded. Japan, especially the southern Ryukyu Islands and Okinawa, will also suffer from powerful waves. The eastern coast of Kyushu Island, where the active Sakurajima volcano is located, will receive an additional blow. The tsunami might trigger increased activity. Indonesia won't be spared. The waves will reach the northern coast very quickly. Vietnam, China, and the entire eastern coastline will be under attack. Shanghai, Hong Kong, Macau. All these enormous coastal megacities will face devastating waves, albeit somewhat weakened by distance. But the tsunami is only the first phase of the catastrophe. Then, what will truly change the world will begin. The supervolcano will eject 1,000 cubic kilometers of ash, dust, and volcanic gases into the atmosphere. The cloud will rise to a height of 30 to 40 kilometers into the stratosphere, from where it will begin spreading across the entire planet. People will only be able to breathe with respirators. Within a week, the ash will reach India, China, and Korea. Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, Delhi. All these megacities will be plunged into semi-darkness. Within 2 to 3 weeks, the ash will spread throughout the northern hemisphere. Australia will receive its share, though a smaller one. Europe, North America, everywhere the sky will turn gray. The temperature will begin to drop. The gases ejected by the supervolcano, primarily sulfur dioxide, will react with the atmosphere and form aerosols that will reflect sunlight back into space. The planet will begin to cool. The volcanic winter will last several years. So where will it be safe? Honestly speaking, there won't be truly safe places, but there are regions that will suffer less than others. South America will be relatively protected. It's farthest from the epicenter, and the main mass of ash will settle in the northern hemisphere. Argentina, Chile, Brazil will become a refuge for those who manage to get there. Interior regions of Africa will also find themselves in relative safety. No tsunami, less ash. But the problem is that the infrastructure there is weak, and a massive influx of refugees will cause collapse. Europe will suffer from the volcanic winter, but not from the direct consequences of the eruption. There will be no tsunami, the ash layer will be thinner. But cold, crop failure, and economic crisis will affect it too. From the Philippines, if there's time, they'll attempt to evacuate the population before the eruption. But this is unrealistic. Evacuating more than 110 million people in a short period is impossible. Those who survive in Southeast Asia will try to flee deep into the continent, to India and China. But these countries are already overpopulated, and millions of refugees will create a humanitarian catastrophe. Australia, New Zealand, Europe, North America will close their borders, trying to protect their citizens. But the migration pressure will be colossal. Hundreds of millions of people will try to flee from the disaster zone. This will cause a political crisis of unprecedented proportions. Will humanity survive? Yes, almost certainly. But the world that remains after the eruption of such a supervolcano will be completely different. Political systems will change. Technological progress will roll back by decades. And the most terrifying thing is we cannot prevent this. If the supervolcano awakens, all we can do is run and hope for the best. Asia in general occupies a special place because it's on this continent that some of the most powerful volcanic systems on the planet are concentrated. Scientists are particularly closely monitoring several giants, each capable of changing the world. That's all. If you enjoyed the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel. You'll really help the development of this project.